Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be never chase after being dumped. Well, I've got 4 emails I'm going to go through with you today, but before we get into the first one, I've got a quote that I wrote I want to share with you in this topic, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into the first email. The quote says, "It takes 2 people who have mutual interest, respect, desire, and empathy for one another in order to make a relationship happen or to rekindle a romance. If someone no longer wants to make the effort to keep you in their life, it is demeaning, unloving, and disrespectful to yourself to continue chasing, begging, and pleading with them to change their mind about you. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. The self-loving thing to do if you have been dumped is to seek out a new lover who will appreciate you, not staying stuck in the past wishing things will change. Not accepting the reality of what is only leads to suffering. You are not put on this earth to suffer, but to create magnificent things and a magnificent life for yourself. Therefore, the only option is to keep moving, keep searching, and keep taking action to make your dreams, goals, and desires a reality." In other words, don't sit around fucking feeling sorry for yourself. You need to move on with your life and persist and proceed as if what you want is eventually going to come into your life. So let's jump into the first email. This guy says, "Hey Corey, the girl I was seeing dumped me because she was starting to have strong feelings for me and wasn't ready to have a boyfriend." That sounds like a classic case of I pursued her too much and I made her feel like she was losing her freedom and therefore she dumped me and stuck me in friend zone. See, this is what guys tell themselves to rationalize the behavior. Hey, it's not my fault that this happened. She said she's not ready to be in a relationship. That's what women say because they don't want to hurt your feelings. He says, "We split up a couple of weeks ago, but decided to remain friends." In other words, she wanted to friend zone you and you went along with it even though it's not what you really wanted. "At first, I handled the breakup very well. Even she was impressed that I could switch to friendship. So in other words, your friendship was a fraud because it's not what you really wanted." He says, "But after the first week, I had a moment of weakness. I started blowing up her phone and asking her to hang out lots, and I'm pretty sure I came across as needy and weak." So in other words, you proceeded to do more and more of what got you friend zoned in the first place. Instead of just letting it go and standing up for yourself saying, "Hey, I want you, I desire you, I can't be just your friend. That just doesn't work for me. But if you change your mind, give me a call." And then you walk and you never look back. That's the best way to handle that situation because you're communicating, "Hey, these are my boundaries and you've crossed them and that just doesn't work for me." He says, "Anyways, I said hi to her 16 days ago and she replied back immediately but cut the conversation short after 3 messages." So you're continuing to pursue and chase after her. He says, "So it's been 16 days since we've talked and I'm at a crossroads. I work out of province and I have to drive by where she works to get to my house, and I'm curious if it's right to go in and say hi unannounced to her after 16 days of no contact." Come on, man. No contact means no contact. Walking away and meaning it means just that. You're moving on with your life, and unless she reaches out to you, she's never going to hear from you again. That's what that means. It doesn't mean after you hold out for 2 weeks, then you start chasing after her. You're chasing and over pursuing and constantly acting like you weren't worthy and you didn't deserve her is what caused her to reject you in the first place. So absolutely not, dude. That's creepy, stalkerish behavior. She stuck you in friend zone, and that's not what you want. What do you think is going to happen? You've seen too many movies. You're going to go show up and she's going to go, "Oh my God, I haven't heard from you in 16 days. Oh my God, we got to get married. Let's go do it right now." Come on, man. It doesn't work that way in the real world. He says, "I know she thinks I'm clingy, so showing up and acting like a stalker is going to make her think that you're not clingy?" Come on, dude. You're bullshitting yourself. "I know she thinks I'm clingy, so I was going to go in and be really cool and laid back and just say hi and only leave." So where I was going to play it cool, man. He says, I want to switch her mind so that we can still be friends and talk." Why? That's not what you want. You want this girl. You want her romantically, but she's saying, "No, I just want friendship." He says, "But I'm also contemplating giving her her friend the say what I have to say and move on spiel and a letter to give to her. You don't need to do anything, dude. Walk and never look back. Don't ever call her. Don't ever text her. Don't anything. Because if there's any kind of attraction left in her, if there's any kind of respect in her mind towards you, when she hasn't heard from you in a few weeks or a month or two, whatever it happens to be, then she's going to think, did he find somebody else? Has he moved on with his life? Does he not care about me? Maybe I made the wrong decision by booting him out of my life. He says, I can just be friends with her, no problem. Come on, man. Seriously? You could bullshit yourself, dude, but you can't bullshit me. He says, I would just like to know if going in to say hi will make me look clingy. Yeah, it'll make you look like a stalker. It's fucking weird and awkward, dude. That's the kind of shit that scares women, the crap out of women, because they think this guy's going to start showing up at my house. He's going to start showing up at my work. This is really weird. It's going to turn her off even more. It's not going to help your case, dude. I know you see that shit in movies all the time, but it doesn't work in real life. This is how you get a restraining order against you. He says, still, even if it was just for a couple of minutes to go in to say hi. Absolutely. He says, what do you think? No fucking way in hell. He says, do I say hi and hopefully she wants to start talking to him or give her a letter? You don't do any of that shit. Nothing. What you do is absolutely nothing. You're going to move on with your life. And you're going to read my book 10 to 15 times. And for those of you watching this that haven't gotten the Kindle version downloaded to your smartphone or electronic device or computer yet, or you want to get a paperback version of it, go to my website right now. Underneath the email sign-up box, there is an image of my book. Click on that and go. It'll take you right to Amazon. You can either download the Kindle instantly, or you can order a paperback version, whichever one's best for you. Read that book 10 to 15 times and move on with your life as if she's part of the past and you're never going to hear from her again. And start dating and meeting new women and practicing those skills that I talk about. Because you got to overcome this neediness and this insecurity. And if she ever reaches out to you in the future, assume she wants to see you and make a date. So when she does, if she reaches out, you just say, hey babe, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? Tuesday? Great, I'm free. Tuesday as well. How about 7 o'clock? Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over to my place, and we'll make dinner together. Hang out, have fun, and hook up exactly like I talk about in the book. You got to learn the fundamentals. It's the only way, not only that you could potentially be successful with her, but also with new women. You got to clean up your game because it sucks right now. Because if every time you act this way, every woman across the board is going to reject you for acting like a creepy stalker because you make women feel like they're going to lose their freedom by dating you or being involved with you romantically because they can tell that you're more into them than they are into you. You got to overcome this because your strategy that you're employing is one for failure. So let's get to the next guy's email. He says, hey Corey, I met this girl at a happy hour gathering of young professionals recently. We're all from the same European country together, and we get together regularly. I'm 28 and she's 24. Anyhow, I went out with her in January for drinks. She was touching me and complimenting me, so within an hour of our date, we started kissing and making out. Good fucking job. So far, so good. She even told me verbally that she liked me a lot. I invited her to my place, but she didn't come. The correct way to handle that is you say, hey, because especially if it's getting close to closing time, you say, would you care to join me back at my place for a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or tea or coffee or whatever it happens to be? And she can say yes, she can say no, and if she says no, then if the evening's ending and you got to work the next day, because I assume this is probably like during the middle of the week, you can say, let me get your phone number and I'll give you a call next week sometime and we'll catch up. Walk her to a car, give her a kiss. But if it's a weekend and you're out and she says, no, let's just hang out here, go to another place that's maybe around the corner. Throw some darts, shoot some pool, just some place where you can hang out and continue building rapport. And then maybe an hour or so later, when you're all over each other again, you say, hey, would you care to join me back at my place for a cup of coffee or an espresso? And then when she's a little warmer, she'll say, sure. Then great, why don't you follow me back there? I'm parked over here. It's that simple. It's part of the trial close. Read my book 10 to 15 times to learn the fundamentals. You get better with this stuff. The more you practice this, the more you have situations like this happen, the better you're going to get because over time your sensory acuity is going to develop and you're going to become really good at reading the subtle cues of when a woman is ready to, in essence, go home with you. He says, I texted her 4 days afterwards to make the second date. When are you free to get together again? She never responded. Well, that's not a good sign. Maybe she was just drunk. Maybe she has a boyfriend. Maybe she's got a guy that she really likes. And when she's sober and she gets a text from me, she's like, I'm not really into that guy. He says, last week we had one of those happy hour gatherings again with the same group, and she showed up. I kept my cool and was friendly when I greeted her. We were talking to other girls most of the time, and when I talked to her briefly, she was touching me and telling me that I looked great. Well, those are all signs of attraction. At some point late in the evening, I sort of isolated her from the rest of the group. It was a big lounge, and we started kissing and making out again. Her kissing and touching was so intense, as if we had been in a relationship for years. That's part of your problem. You're focused on a relationship. This is what happens when a man and a woman really like each other, and they're not holding back. They're all over each other. But in your mind, you're thinking relationship, I'm going to make this girl my girlfriend, and that's the vibe you're putting off. It's going to cause a woman to start to feel like she's going to lose her freedom. In other words, she can't just hook up with you and have unattached sex because she knows you're going to get attached and become all clingy and start acting like her boyfriend, even though you might have just hooked up with her one time. He says, again, she told me she really liked me, and at that point I told her that her actions were not congruent with her words, given that she never responded to my message when I asked her to get back together back in January. Bad way to go, dude. Now you're using logic and reason. It's like, this is stupid. You're totally torpedoing your chances. She said she thought I didn't care enough. It felt like my intelligence was undermined and as if she was bullshitting me right in my face with a silly, counterintuitive excuse. What she's basically communicating was that she felt like, in other words, you made her feel like you were just going to fuck her and blow her off. And women are more concerned about an emotional connection, developing an emotional connection with somebody. And you probably came across, because of what she said, that's what that tells me, you came across as a horny guy just trying to get laid. Why? Because you were rushing things. He says, I told her, you have a different perception of caring than most people do. What do you want me to do? You never ask a woman a question like that, dude. Can you imagine James Bond going, what do you want me to do? You're the man. You're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to know this shit. She doesn't want to teach you how to be a man. All you're communicating is you don't understand jack shit about women, and this is pretty much how it goes. When you meet a woman, you like her, it never goes anywhere. Because this is your frustration coming out. You're totally shooting yourself in the foot, dude. He says, what do you want me to do? Be creepy and come outside your house with a sign asking you out or blow your phone up with messages? That's not going to happen. We kissed some more, and she said we can get together the following weekend. I invited her again to my place that night, but she said she was tired and a bit tipsy, so I helped her get a cab. I texted her 3 days after that encounter to arrange the details of our get-together, saying at the end of that text, non-responses are not acceptable at this time with a smiley face. Come on, man. Seriously. Do you honestly think that's... So in other words, what you're trying to do is twist her and manipulate her and say, I know you're going to probably blow me off, but don't you dare. Because this is what always happens to me. A guy who's successful woman would never fucking talk like that. Would never say those kinds of things. She has not responded yet, and my gut feeling tells me that she won't. Yeah, I would seriously doubt you will hear from her. You've pretty much cock-blocked yourself right out of a good opportunity. He says, I don't know if I'm missing something here, or if I've made mistakes. I'm sure I will run into her again in one of the future happy hours with our group. How do you think I should handle things? Just like you did last time. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. And don't be a dick, don't be confrontational, and don't be like a monkey in a cage at a zoo who's masturbating and throwing his jizz at everybody. That's how you're acting. He says, I'm dating 3 other women at this point. It's thanks to your material, but this seems a bizarre situation. Let me know how I should proceed, if I should contact her again after some time. Absolutely not. Don't ever contact her. Don't ever call her again. If she doesn't reach out, because here's what she knows. You're acting like the typical needy, desperate guy that's pissed off and mad at her because she didn't do what you wanted. That scares her. That causes her to not feel safe and comfortable with you. So you need to cut this bullshit out and don't ever talk like this to a woman again. Act like the charming James Bond. But this is how you learn, is by fucking up. And I pointed out what you did wrong here, and you should never say those kinds of things again. So I would just wait to hear from her. And if you happen to see her again in another event, do the same thing. But don't ever confront her. Or it's like you got to slow things down a little bit here. You're obviously rushing things, and you're making her feel uncomfortable. And, there's a really good chance that you've pretty much blown it with this girl. There could be another guy in the picture. You don't really know. She could be emotionally fucked up. You don't know. But she's been drinking, And so she's all over you when she's drinking, but when she's sober, she's not. So that should tell you something. Because when she's sober, she doesn't reciprocate. Well, maybe she only makes out with you because it's a fun thing to do, and plus she's drunk. Therefore, when she sobers up, she doesn't want to do it. What does that tell you? Look at her actions. Well, obviously she's not really that into you. So let's get into the third email. This guy says, "Hey coach, here's an update as what's transpired since our last email. I remained in my center. I didn't contact my ex. I've continued dating and working on my purpose and being the strongest version of myself." Good fucking job. "She texted me recently to see how I was. I told her I was doing great and I would be home in 2 weeks and I would love to see her when back home. I had to go to Europe for work and she texted while I was there and asked for some pictures. I sent her one picture and told her that the rest I would show her in person. She didn't respond," and he puts testing me in parentheses. "A week and a half went by and I was already 2 days into my trip when she reached out. I was visiting a friend's house when she texted me at 11:30 on a Friday night. She said, 'Hi, I hope you're okay. It's a beautiful night,' and sent me a picture of the moon over the ocean." Notice how you didn't do anything. You didn't do any pursuing. You just waited for her to continue to come to you. This is what you do when you're trying to get an ex back. You don't invest any effort. You let her come to you. "I saw the message 15 minutes later and replied, 'Looks good. Where are you?' She told me a name of a town. It was 45 minutes from her house, and I texted, 'Okay, I'm at a friend's house, and I would love to see you when she's available.' And she replied, 'You're here?' And I said, 'Come on, woman. You know I've been here since yesterday.' She said she thought I was arriving in another week and proceeded to call me. We talked briefly, and I tried setting a date, but she said she had a lot of things going on, and I told her once again to get back to me when she was available, and she said she would. She reached out the next night on her way back from a family gathering saying she wanted to see me and was on her way back to the city. She said, 'I'm trying to make time to see you,' she said, and I told her where I was, and she showed up. We met for 30 minutes and had a good time. She called me the next evening and said, 'I'm done with all my responsibilities. I have my daughter with me, but my time is yours.' In other words, she's got her kid with her, so things can't go too far with you. He says, 'I decided to go to a chain restaurant that we all like. When we arrived, there was a wait time, and she got into a little diva moment and then said we should go because she didn't want to wait. I looked at her and calmly said, "We're here. Let's find out what the wait is. If it's too much, then I'll take you guys somewhere else." She must have seen or felt something because she just nodded and sat down and wait. You were being the leader. You told her what to do and what's going to happen, and she went okay. She was happy to be submissive and go along with it and allow you to be the leader because you were acting like a man, so good fucking job. He says, "I looked at the bar area and saw an empty table, and I immediately went there and asked if we could sit, and they said yes. I motioned towards her, and she came and said, 'Good call. I wouldn't have thought of that.'" You got brownie points, bro. Good job. I replied, "Hey, I saw an opening, and I took it. It's what I do." She smiled and said, "You know, when you told me to wait, I thought to myself, I'm being kind of a bitch right now. Let me just sit my ass down and wait." Nice job. That's a good compliment to you, dude. In other words, your behavior showed that nothing, her bitchy attitude is not going to diminish you in any way. You're going to have a smile on your face because in your mind, you've decided you're all about having a good time. He says, on the way back, she talked about how guys are so insecure these days. When guys tell me I can't go somewhere or do something, it's like they're poking me in the chest, and I do the exact same thing that they don't want me to just to piss them off. And he says, where have I heard that before? Could be that fucking Corey Wayne guy. He says, the next day she called me again and told me she was available and felt like going to a pool. I told her to meet me halfway, and I drove to a pool that I know near the beach. Later that night, when it was time to say goodbye, I went for the kiss, but she turned her cheek at the last second. I was cradling her neck while we were cheek to cheek, and she said, "Don't you dare, don't you dare." And I told her, "Of course I dare. What's the worst thing that can happen? Getting smacked? I survived a plane crash, babe. I think I can handle a little love tap." Nice fucking job, dude. Good comeback. She laughed, and when she pulled back, she opened her eyes real wide and glanced at her daughter. Obviously, that's, you can understand she's got her kid there. "Mommy, what's going on? I thought you guys broke up." Letting me know she wasn't comfortable at the moment, so I pulled back. She said, "I'm trying to give you a kiss, but don't let me. Stay still." She then gave me a long, slow kiss right in the corner of my mouth, And I went and I turned my lips toward her, and she pulled back with a look of surprise and a smile saying, "Boy, you sure don't miss an opportunity, do you?" I told her, "I'm like James Bond, babe. Do you think he wouldn't have gone for it?" She cracked up. Fucking good job, dude. You've been paying attention. And I left and said goodbye, and she was looking at me with a smile and puzzled. What has gotten into him? Who is this guy? Kind of look on her face. Good fucking job, dude. Thank you for everything, Coach. Where should I go from here? How do I walk the fine line of mysterious/cold fish on this one? Do I reach out in a week or just wait? Absolutely not. You don't do anything. She's chasing you. She's reaching out to you. All you have to do is sit back, go on about your life, continue dating other women and having a great time. And if she reaches out to you in the future, what do? You make the next date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up just like I talk about in my book. So let's jump into the fourth and final email. This guy says, "Hey Corey, I want to write you to thank you for all your guidance over the past year. I wrote to you twice over the past year, and I continue to watch your videos a few times a week, and they have greatly improved my life. You even shared one of my emails in a video coaching newsletter." Well, now I've shared two. "And my ex-girlfriend, who's 31 and I'm 27, changed the terms of our relationship last year, and I did everything wrong. I begged her to allow me to be with her. I acted needy, I was insecure, depressed, and she definitely had 100% of the power. We met in grad school, and we built a bond that was very strong, and it was so hard to come to grips with the fact that it was over. We even lived together for 2 years. Ugh," he says. "It was so hard. However, after watching your videos and reading your book about 5 times, I know I have to read it more times," he says, "I haven't contacted her in 3 months. I basically reached the point in my life where I said, fuck this shit, it takes 2 to tango." He puts in big bold letters. Bingo! He says, "Now I feel excellent about myself. I go on dates with other women, and I have a take it or leave it attitude. If a woman is interested in me, it obviously makes me feel great. If she isn't interested in me, I learned something from the experience and consider it her loss. It's an excellent feeling to be where I am emotionally right now. I've never been in a situation like this before, and it's because I'm centered on my purpose." Good fucking job, and it feels natural, doesn't it? He says, "You're 100% right about having a purpose and letting that drive me. Everything else falls into place, and it's like my purpose in life transfers into every other relationship I have." Women want men to have a purpose and a mission outside of them. They don't want you to make them the center of your life or your purpose for living. He says, "Ironically, my ex-girlfriend sent me a lengthy email last week." I'm shocked, I tell you, where she said, "I have been on her mind recently, and despite the fact that I told her I don't want to be her to contact me if she just wants to remain friends, she said that she tried her best not to contact me until last week because she wanted to see how I was doing." And he puts victory in big letters. "I felt so great when she emailed me, and I responded by saying how great I was doing. I found a new job as an associate at a law firm. I work with great people. I'm making good money. And I've told her that I've been traveling a lot, and I'll be heading to the coast for the summer. I told her how I purchased a new car last month and that I'm buying a new house soon. I ended the email by saying, I hope you're doing well, take care, and purposely didn't ask her any questions which would require her to send me a response to my email. Since I sent my response last week, I haven't heard anything from her. She said that she gets bits and pieces of how I'm doing from mutual friends, but it's clear that I've been on her mind. After practicing what you preach and working on my skills, everything is coming together in my life in both my personal relationships with family, friends, dating women, and my work. I can't thank you enough." Well, the only thing I would say is, unless you didn't want to get together with her, she reached out to you. So if she's sending you this big long email, then you say, "Hey baby, you know what? I missed you. I'd really love to see you. We should get together sometime. When are you free? How about 7 o'clock, my place, we make dinner together. Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over, and we can catch up." That's the only thing that I would have done differently, because the whole reason of walking away is to cause her to do exactly what happened. It took 3 months. And now she's starting to doubt herself, and she reached out to you, and you should have made a date. But at this point, I wouldn't do anything, because more than likely, she'll probably reach out to you again in the future. Current events tend to form future trends. So I would just wait to hear from her. And next time, when she does reach out, if that's what you want, make a date with her. Hang out, have fun, and hook up like I talk about in the book. But great job for turning your life around, dude. That's awesome, man. I'm proud of you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the Products tab at the top of the screen, and choose whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.